Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. I'm Steve Glenn.
I'm Paul Glenn.
Paul, today we're going to talk about the top 10 ways to use your frequent flyer miles.
This is like one of your biggest hobbies, isn't
This
it?
is my hobby. People say, do you do this? Do you woodwork? Do you go out golfing? No, I do frequent flyer miles. I do hotel miles, credit card miles, airline miles. This is my sweet spot. Okay, so today we're going to give you all the tips on how to use your miles. And as I've said before, frequent flyer miles today are the new currency. I mean, they're more powerful than Bitcoin.
I'm sure others would argue that, but there is definitely a value that is associated with frequent flyer miles.
Well, Bitcoin's getting more valuable and the airlines are devaluing frequent flyer miles. So here we go. Number one, American and United have the best frequent flyer programs of the big three domestic airlines. And they're very easy to use, okay? They appear to have a lot more saver miles. Saver miles are the sweet spot, and that's usually saver miles are during the off season or winter season when you get the biggest bang for the buck. So Delta, unfortunately, they're probably the best run airline, but their frequent flyer miles to me have been devalued so much that it's just hard to even fathom the value of it.
Yeah,
it's less than a penny a piece.
I'd say not too long ago you did the comparative podcast regarding what the values of miles were, and I think that was one of the takeaways from that was that Delta took almost twice as much sometimes to be able to get the same dues filled.
And the thing that we're seeing today, ladies and gentlemen, are the airlines are full. The airplanes are full. So they don't have all these excess seats that they're trying to fill with frequent flyer miles. And that's making it awful tough. If you're going to have and use frequent flyer miles, you better be flexible. That's the key word. The operative word to take away is be flexible with your dates. Actually, I go in, book my airline tickets first, then go find my hotel. Because that tends to be the toughest part.
Well, a lot of times, because you're having to do all this using of your frequent flyer miles on the airline's websites, a lot of times it'll show up at the top, at least on United, the 7-day period or 5-day period, and it'll show that there might be something using less miles if you travel on Thursday instead of Tuesday. So then you can go over there and see what those options are. So I think the key is figure out how you maximize this return.
I actually use a website called point.me, and you can go in and say, I want to go from Omaha to Rome on these dates, and it will tell you these are the ways that you can use the least amount of points, the fastest trip, whatever you want to do.
And is that using just frequent flyer miles? Does it also tie in credit card points?
Yes.
All those other
all
things?
Those.
So, okay.
Yep.
So can you plug in, you have a profile there, and you can plug in, I have this credit card, I have this frequent flyer, I have all this.
Point.me has 11 different programs that I have, including credit cards. It shows my Amex, it shows my Chase Sapphire that I have, and then it shows United, Delta. I don't even plug in American, though, because I don't really put credit card miles into American much anymore, but I see a lot of times.
You've done some BA stuff, though.
Yeah.
Utilizing that. And then you'll transfer points from a credit card.
You're going to get my secrets before I give them out.
I guess I should read this before we start talking about it.
Number 2, book your free tickets very early or very late. So let me tell you, that means they usually open them up about 11 months in advance. They may allow for a dozen or so tickets to go out there. And then they try to sell the seats to fill the plane. And the last week before, they'll oftentimes open up seats if they haven't filled that. So I've got some really cool deals like Emirates, first class to Dubai.
Like 2 days before you were
2
traveling.
days before I'm going. So I booked something else that was fully refundable. I went and checked Emirates 2 days before. First class Emirates. That ticket, one-way ticket on Emirates, Chicago to Dubai, $11,000 or 110,000 points.
Wow.
That's a great deal.
Great return.
About 10 cents
10
per
cents on the point.
Yeah. Hey, so book your tickets, free tickets early or late. Number 3, Don't use miles for upgrades, but for free premium class tickets, primarily business class international. That's where you get the biggest bang for your buck. Sometimes you can get a United business class Chicago to Rome, 70,000 miles one way.
And that's a roughly $3,500 ticket if you were paying for that one way. So you're getting 5 cents on the point.
Yeah, you're getting good value. Coach class is about 40,000 miles on United, and so there's some good value there. Much more value if you use it for business class. If you find those great off-season fares, right? Now in the busy season, 275,000 each way. Delta, 350,000.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's crazy. Okay. Number 4, use your miles for international business and first class. As I said before, we talked about the value proposition. And sometimes I try to get 5 cents per point out of my value. And you can do that internationally, but you got to start, like if you're going to go like to Italy in April, you better start now and looking for those great deals. And that comes into...
Well, you mentioned something and a strategy to take that approach to try to maximize it. Getting back to, the revenue management guys at the airlines, they're trying to get as much cash in as they can. But, it's not uncommon for those business class tickets to still be open on most flights 2 and 3 days before that. So, your strategy of buy something that will work, but go in and look. That's probably actually the best suggestion on how to maximize it.
Book it and look it.
And so buy something that's refundable, or if you travel quite often, buy something that you don't have to go all the way to do the fully refundable, but that you can apply towards a future ticket.
Yeah.
And you can just keep rolling that then.
That's what I've actually started booking fully refundable tickets that I'm buying.
Okay.
I pay more for that, 10% more. And then I have the flexibility the day before to jump on a frequent flyer ticket.
And jump on a frequent flyer.
And that's the game I'm going to play. So number 5, airline partners often have easier and cheaper freebie tickets than the major U.S. airlines. For example, British Air. I booked business class, even first class on British Air, which shares American Airlines. You can book American on British Air. I book Air France on Delta, using Avios points, KLM, Air France, and I can book those tickets for 70,000 in business class versus on Delta for 375,000, 350,000, whatever it is.
Almost get 4 times the return.
Yeah, and on Air France, the business class on an Airbus 350 is like one of the best business class in the whole world.
Very nice.
So anyway, look at those international carriers that you can book on. So
and point.me brings
tell
all
you.
those to you. So if you really want to get serious about this, it's probably worth investing. What's a subscription to that cost?
Oh, I'm sure it's $20 a month.
So, but you're saving thousands, and you're saving thousands and hundreds of thousands of miles by doing it. So,
and if you don't want to mess with it, they even have a service for $200.
They'll do it.
I mean, if you're going to go business class, let them find you the deal and book it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy to do. So, number 6 on this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. Every Tuesday we send out 100,000 emails to people on our Weekly Travel Alert. Paul, we've been doing this for now, 38 years?
38 years.
Soon to be 39.
We're rolling into 39.
We're rolling. Hey, a big shout out to #Snerdly, Ryan Swihart, who does all our technical stuff here. So all the things you see pop on the screen, those pretty pictures, they come from Ryan Swihart. Number 6 on this week's edition of our top 10 tips for using frequent flyer miles reads, beware of airline fuel surcharges on free tickets. The only negative about European airlines, they're adding $1,000 fuel surcharges on that ticket for first class. And so you got to be careful of which airlines are doing that. Most of the domestic, Delta, United, and American don't charge that fuel surcharge. A lot of the international carriers do. So be careful about that. Number 7 on this week's list of the top 10 ways to use your frequent flyer miles. The best credit card with the easiest to use points is the American Express Platinum card and the Chase Sapphire. Okay, those two. Now, American Express goes to almost all the airlines except United and American.
Okay.
But it goes to British Air.
So you can get all your
use
international
it to American.
carriers. Yep.
You can go to Air Canada, which you can use on Star Alliance.
Yep.
And you can go to ANA, you can do all these other airlines. So if you do Amex, now the reason I do Amex, can I tell you why?
Well, you probably also get club access in
Club
the
access?
Centurion Club.
Ooh.
So when you are traveling internationally, you'll find a lot of airports are going to have that Amex Club.
Every airline ticket I charge on using the Amex Platinum card, I get 5 points.
Okay.
Think about that, 5 points. Now with the Chase Sapphire, I think I get 2.
You get
Three.
Three
Yeah.
on travel expenses.
Yeah. So, and another one I found was the United Club card.
When you're buying on United.
When you buy United, you get 4 points. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are cool cards to have in your wallet. Number 8 of this week's list of the top 10 ways to use your frequent flyer miles. I put the majority of my credit card miles on Air Canada's Aeroplan. When I'm converting them from Amex. And as we talked about, it's a Star Alliance member, so I can use it basically on the United or any of those that I'm a 1K member. Yeah. You're a 1K member.
I was going to say, a lot of this comes down to personal preference or, where you're located geographically, because obviously where we are in the Midwest, we've got all the carriers. We don't have anybody that's heavier here than other places. But if you're in a market like Detroit, where Delta's going to be heavier than everybody else, you're going to want to look at the options that are going to be best to help you maximize the points there. But to this, I think the Air Canada plan, you've had a lot of success, and it goes back to a lot of times you can get the same United flights, but through Air Canada for less miles than if you were using
in the same way using British Air on American, you can get the American flights.
So there must be an inventory through their contracts that makes it so that, BA, you get so many that you can offer through your program. We've got so many, and once Americans get used up, well, BA still has their allocation that they can do, and they have control over that inventory of some sort.
This is a shocker alert. You won't believe these, ladies and gentlemen. Paul, you know this. We've talked about it before. The airlines make more money selling frequent flyer miles to banks than they do flying airplanes. Can you believe that?
Well, yeah, because they don't really make money. They're losing money flying airplanes anymore.
Okay. Hey, number 9 is secure your airline tickets first when planning a vacation using frequent flyer miles. We talked about that before.
That's part of the fun, though, too, is, one of the fun things, and I think I've talked about this before, is to maximize. We did once a handful of years ago where I had miles that I wanted to use. I wanted to do a trip, talking about, what's the order that you go in. Well, we had to have a kid, grandma to watch the kids so we could sneak away. So I figured out what week grandma was available. Then I was like, well, don't want to cross the pond flying in the back if I'm using my miles. So then we figured out, okay, based on the miles we've got, where can we get to? And that's how we selected the destination.
You went to Portugal.
We ended up in Portugal, and it was a blast.
So you weren't planning to go to Portugal.
We were not planning to go to Portugal, but that's where I could use those miles and get that upgrade from the time of booking. So it was kind of fun. It was kind of like Russian roulette. Throw the dart and see where you land.
We're going to get to number 10, but before that, this is 9.5. One of the things I want to warn people is, if you're earning miles in your credit card, keep them there until you find out where you need to put them. So, for example, if you're on Amex, you don't want to put them into, let's say, Air Canada Aeroplan, and then find out later you need to move them and you're going to go to Japan and put them on ANA. So, because once you move them, they're stuck there until you use them. Now, I'm stuck with 400,000 miles on ANA. I was planning to go first class on them. Okay. And then the wait list didn't open up. Okay. So I'm stuck with them, and I'm trying to figure out how to use 400,000 miles on ANA. I think I can figure a way to use them on United, maybe.
When you've been around here for 3 weeks or more, you tend to get where you get the travel bug. So I'm sure at some point you're just going to want to find a way to get out of here.
I'll call ANA and say,
call
"Get me out of
ANA and
here."
go. Yep.
Number 10 on this week's list of the top 10 ways to use your frequent flyer miles reads, complimentary upgrades are fast going the way of the dinosaur. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I struggle. We used to have it so our 1K membership would get us upgraded on almost every flight.
Points, you had all kinds of things.
It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So you've got to basically use your points for full tickets, coach tickets, business class tickets, or first class tickets. But don't throw them away. Don't use it for a $70,000 point one-way domestic ticket. You know, that's a waste when that's only worth about $500. That same $70,000 on a business class one-way is worth $3,000.
One of the other things to look at, and this is new, I just saw on a flight I was on here a couple weeks ago, and this was on United, but they've got where you can have, I can't remember, was it 3 or 5 people that can share miles?
Yeah.
So if you don't have 70,000 miles, but there's an opportunity to get that ticket for 70,000 miles, you know, you can loan me miles since you've got a lot more miles than I've got, and then I can use that.
I can use Ryan's Southwest miles. Ryan, would you share those with me?
I'll make you a companion.
A free companion pass. Ryan, our trustworthy Ryan Swihart has a free Southwest
companion
pass, but he's only used it once, right? Is it because you don't have a friend?
I need more time off.
He needs more time off. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. We're having fun on the Weekly Travel Alert. It's an honor for us that you would take your time out of your day to listen to us. Have a lot of fun in the travel business, Paul. We're pretty blessed.
Always fun, always fun.
We're past the Thanksgiving weekend now, but it reminds us how thankful we are for both our families, our health. Our staff is just crackerjack. And we have the best customers in the world, too.
We do. We are blessed.
We're blessed all the way around. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks.
Please like, subscribe, share, and add any comments or feedback below on topics that would be of interest for future episodes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.